Welcome to the Prep Pigskin Report podcast, hosted by Papa Pig himself, Paul Rudy.
And we thought we would switch up gears ever so slightly, where people are getting bored of droning to your celebrity friends, so I thought I'd bring in my celebrity friends.
Good pick. You see Allison's staying in East County with the wood paneling? I like that.
Right? I'm keeping it real.
I know. You are in charge of East County Game of the Week, and you are staying.
Allison Edmonds and Bri Savant, the women of the PPR, joining us now. Two of the main spokes that turn the PPR wheel. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, they do more than their share. They carry a lot of water, making San Diego's #1 high school football show get on the air. Ladies, thank you for making some time available to us on a Tuesday morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, just for the record, Allison, how long have you been with the PPR now?
This is my 5th season on the PPR.
And Bri, this is your?
I think since 2018. So we're 2021 now. So 3 years.
4th.
All right. So you guys have had a good taste of it. Allison, let's start with you. Just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this crazy business.
Yeah, well, it's something I've always wanted to do since I was like 10 years old. I grew up a really big Padre fan here in San Diego, and I wanted to be able to somehow get back here and report on my hometown team and also everything to do with my hometown. San Diego is a great place to be. So went to college, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, majored in broadcast journalism. While I was there, I was like, hey, there's not a lot of sports options here. So I went and I made some sports shows, did a pregame football show, did a weekly football show there, weekly sports show there. We did all sorts of things, and we kind of just immersed myself in the Cal Poly experience, and I had everyone kind of help me. We kind of created something cool, and then I wanted to make sure I got into sports broadcasting after college. So that is when I decided to get started on the PPR. It was something I always watched growing up here in East County and wanted to be a part of it, and now here I am. The rest is history.
You're a fixture of it.
Yeah, how about you, Bri?
Yeah, since I was about a senior in high school, I sort of made it my mind that sports broadcasting is what I wanted to do. And since I was in high school, I sort of had tunnel vision, to be honest, on sort of making this a career. So I went to Cal State San Marcos for college. I majored in communications. I got an internship at KOCT, which is a public access cable station up in the North County. So I got to just kind of see how broadcasting works and things like that, be in the environment. But I knew sports was my goal. I was an athlete growing up. And so I then from there went to the Cougar Chronicle, which is a student-run newspaper at Cal State. And I was a sports reporter there, and I got really good experience, going to games, interviewing athletes, coaches, doing write-ups, kind of experiencing the deadlines, nothing like live TV, of course, but it was a very good experience. And from there, I kind of wanted to keep it moving, keep building on my resume. And so when I was a senior in college, I found out about the PPR, and I say found out because I'm originally from Temecula Valley area, so I did not grow up in San Diego area. But once I discovered it, I was so interested and was dead set on being involved. So got involved. I remember emailing and sending my email, and I remember Paul Rudy email just said, come see me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay. And so I was like, the host, wow, okay, great. I was so stoked. And so from then on, it was history. I was a senior in college, like I said, so I was a full-time student. So I started with the 10-hour gig. So it's the perfect load and great, leeway into everything. And from then on, just kept building through the seasons, getting more hours and more roles, thanks to you guys. So then on, it's history, and I'm in the sports department now, and that was my goal and my dream. So here we are.
We should mention they both scratched and clawed their way into the organization, now are both full-time members of the KUSI sports department, working in the 8th largest city, working in the 28th TV market. So ladies, whenever you're feeling down and blue, just pat yourselves on the back, because what you've achieved through sheer determination is nothing. I mean, most of us had, I did the Green Bay to Naples to Kansas City, right? You guys have eclipsed my career. I mean, you're at my finishing point. Just think of that. You're starting at my finishing point. So congratulations.
Your words are so eloquent. Come see me.
Well, I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, you guys can speak to how busy it gets around here. There's not a lot of time to write you a long note.
100%.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
So, Allison, and I think we should switch it up. I'll ask a question of Bri, and then you ask it, and we'll just keep going that way, so we're not always. So, Bri, I'll ask you the question. You come from your dad's military, is he not?
Yes, he is. 30 years in the Marines. He retired about a year ago. So, yeah.
So how did his military background affect you as far as, do you feel like some of the lessons that he learns, he taught to you?
Oh, most definitely. He's the hardest working person I know. He's been through so much, and I feel like everything he's been through, he's instilled so much in me. He is the best character. I could go on and on about my dad. He taught me so many things in life, to never give up, So he's so many things I owe to him. He's shaped my life in so many ways. So yeah, I love him.
Nice. Allison, Bri and I were talking at the El Cap West Hills game about, and you've been here 5 years. Because it seems to us like this year there's so many more girls on the football team's rosters, and I remember 5 years ago, I've probably been here as long as you. I don't remember that, and it seems like every week I see one or two now. Are you noticing that too?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when I first started, there was like none, maybe. Yeah. And then like last year, I remember even I was at the Mount Miguel game and I saw Jacob Laverdier's sister kicking, and I was like, wow, like this is kind of cool. This isn't as common as normal. And now it's like every single team at West Hills, their JV team has like 3 or 4 girls on the football team, and they're playing a variety of positions. These girls now aren't just like kickers or, doing the little things. I mean, there's some girls that are like, oh, I want to be a linebacker. I met a girl at El Cap that's like on the JV team, and she's the running back. And I'm like, what the heck? It's awesome. It's really awesome. It's cool to see how far it's come, and that schools are opening their doors and like letting these girls have that opportunity to make their mark in a generally male-dominated sport. It's pretty cool.
And that's a result of, because when I first started in this business 30 years ago, there weren't that many women in the business of covering it. Now, I'd say I think there's as many women, if not more. So I think those two things go hand in hand, right? I mean, women are just becoming more comfortable in what was once deemed a male-dominated business, and now in male-dominated sports. I think it's just a sign of the times, is it not, Allison?
No, it absolutely is. And it's something like when I was starting to get up in this, it was Erin Andrews. She was kind of like one of the pioneers. It was someone I looked up to when I was like 10 years old. I mean, she's still in the business, but now it's like every single football game, every single baseball game, there's at least one female representative. And I think them doing that up at the top kind of goes down through all the rankings. There's the female referees now, females trying to even make their way in like the minor leagues. You see these girls like trying to play college baseball, the people playing football, college football. So I think they see it at the top and they're like, okay, I guess this is kind of acceptable. I can not only make my mark as like maybe a broadcaster, but there's potential that I can actually break the barriers of these sports and try to go as far as possible. So it definitely starts, I think, at the top. It's really cool.
Yeah, and that's what Bri and I were talking about. It was just, the photographers, the color people, everything was female. And I know it was 30 years ago, it was just male dominated, but I don't even remember it being like that 5 years ago. But it was really cool to see the girls on the field. And like you said, linebacker, running back, it wasn't just kicker anymore.
Yeah.
Bri, tell people what's the hard, and don't say working with me. What is the hardest part of working in TV in general?
I think I would say maybe it can be easy to compare yourself to other people. It can be very easy to compare yourself, especially in the age of social media. It's easy to compare yourself. So I think that's the hardest thing, is just you need to focus on yourself. Know you have that one thing that someone saw in you. It just took one person to give you a shot, and that's what matters. And so it's super easy to compare yourself. Back in the day, I feel like when you would keep up with other people's careers, it wasn't through social media. It was just through staying in touch. And if you had a phone call and sort of updated each other on what's going on with each other's lives. So it's really easy to compare yourself and see people, doing things. And so I would say that it's easy, but it's easier said than done to not, but just stay in your lane, stay on your path. So I would say that might be a hard thing, but
Allison, how about, what's the most rewarding part? Like, what do you, like, get up and set your alarm clock and want to get up and actually makes you come to work every day? Besides Paul.
No, I know what she's going to say.
What?
Covering the Padres.
That's one of them. But crazy enough, that is a rewarding part. But like, I don't get to do that like every day, you know? Like for me, the most rewarding part is like, it's honestly the student athletes. Like not just like my segment of the student athlete, but like for the student athletes. Like even just going out to something as simple as when I go and like shoot a water polo game. You know, I wake up excited to go shoot a water polo game because when I go out there, every kid's like, oh my gosh, you're covering our water polo game. This is so cool. They see the truck, they get so excited. I get notes from parents all the time being like, oh my gosh, thank you for coming out to my kid's water polo game. You know, thank you for doing this story on my kid's baseball team. And that makes it all worth it. You know, to get to my goal was to make a difference in my community. And I feel like every time I go out, I'm able to make a difference in my hometown. And for me, that's the most rewarding part of the job every day. I mean, the Padres, of course, that's like the most amazing thing. But to actually see the difference I'm making in these kids' lives and hearing from the parents the difference I'm making, like my kid was having a really bad week and you came and did a story on him and now he's like motivated again. You know, it's just, that's what makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I think that's like the coolest part of the show that I never realized till I actually got on it was, I remember I went to the first Cathedral game and overheard Lucky Sutton be like, oh my God, that's Bert Grossman. I was thinking to myself, oh my God, it's Lucky Sutton. So it doesn't matter how good or what you rose up in the sport. I think we make these kids like stars. It's like Sports Center. Because I was, like I said, didn't matter how much I played or did. I was like, that's Lucky Sutton. So I think that's the coolest part of it that people don't realize.
Well, can I tell you what the coolest part is for me? It's getting to work with people like those two. You, not so much.
Yeah.
These two, because let me tell you about, for people who are going to see this podcast and who might not know, these are two of the toughest people I have ever worked with. And in the case of Bri Savant, she's been kicked to the curb so many times by the economics of the prep picks report. You know, okay, you can work this many hours, now you have to go back to working this many hours. And
doesn't faze them.
Most people, in fact, most people just tell me to go myself.
I have.
Bri patiently waited and waited and waited, and every time out, she was a little more talented. And I could say the same thing for Allison. She had to run the same gauntlet, and now they can do. I'll put them up against anybody in this business. They shoot better than most people. They write better than most people.
Sound like Don King. What are you getting a fight?
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, these two are incredibly talented, and they're starting at the PPR. Where they end is going to be, I'm going to tell you right now, years from now, when I'm sitting in my wheelchair looking out at hopefully the sunset through my window in my home. Yeah. In my senior center, and I'm going to be able to flip on the TV, and I'm going to see you guys doing some network stuff, and I'm going to say, I remember when. So that's what trips my trigger now, is working with young people like this, seeing what they've accomplished.
Thank you. That really means a lot.
No, and guys, listen.
Where do you see me when you're looking out that window? Where am I going to be? Next to you?
Here's the difference between these two are talented, but they keep trying to get better. You are incredibly talented, but you don't apply yourself.
True.
So ladies, what was your moment where you realized, oh boy, this is not going to be as easy as I thought it was? What was the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you so far?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I've had quite a few rookie mistakes I could pick from. So I feel like I have quite a list I could pick from, but maybe the first like dumb one is Brandon's. I was working with Sportscast. It was 6 p.m. Brandon was doing his sports show, and I, was going out to set to go tell him something. And it wasn't even anything pertinent or deadline related. I just wanted to go tell him something while he's on set at the anchor desk. And he does this thing where he's like, I'm always worried about getting in the camera shot. I'm always worried about that. And so he's like, no, come over here. You're not on camera. I'm like, okay. So I go over, I sit behind him, I tell him, and, our conversation's over. It's time for me to exit the set. And for some reason, my brain was thinking it's going to be on the camera's going to go on the news anchors, coming up. So I just completely walk, and I'm sure we have the video of this somewhere. I just completely walk right behind him as the sportscast goes. And I hear the sports intro music going, and I'm like, oh no. And you see Brandon too kind of try and stop me, and he's like, no. But that was that was actually quite recent. So yeah, I'm sure we can find the video of that. So there's some little funny picture moments that happen.
I want to hear Allison's story now.
Allison, what was your moment?
I was trying to think of one because like I feel like I try to block them out because I feel like it's just better to just like keep moving forward in this business, like just keep going, forget about. But the one I thought of was one year at the Farmers Insurance Open. This was just like a few years ago. Everyone, you know, like lines up on the top and they like do their live shots. And it was like me and Brandon that were there. Brandon was like doing the live shots or whatever. And I was like, he started walking to the car. He like walks to the car. So I don't know why all of our stories involve like Brandon talking to us and us looking like ridiculous. Thanks, Brandon. Anyway, so he was like talking to us and I was like, oh my gosh, Brandon, wait. Look to my left and I'm in Derek Togerson's live shot from NBC and he's like live talking and I'm behind it screaming at Brandon. And Brandon's like, Allison, you have to go apologize to Derek. And I'm like, oh my God. And I literally still to say, I feel so bad. And I like literally went up to him like, Derek, I'm so sorry. He's like, you know what? It happens. Like, you'll learn. I'm like, oh no. I shouldn't have done that. I know better. And I yelled and like everyone was watching. It was so embarrassing. Anyway.
That one I'm okay with.
Yeah, that's fine. So, you know, Paul and I are older, so, you know, the role of social media now is so huge in this business, but we kind of are there, but we don't live in that world. You guys being younger, it's really apart. How's that changed, you think, or changed this industry from, you know, 5 years, 10 years ago? Paul and I didn't even have anything. We didn't even have cell phones when we were your age, so.
Yes.
It was, so we don't know anything about it. I mean, we're on social media, but we're not part of it.
Allison, you could speak to this pretty competently because you're building quite a following on Twitter.
Yeah, you know, I think there's pros and cons. I think, you know, like kind of like Bri mentioned, you know, the social media age kind of makes it easier to compare yourself to others and, you know, see what other people are doing. But also in a sense, it's like really cool, right? Because you see what people are doing, you're like, oh, like, I want to do that. Like, oh, look what I can do. You know, you can make it a positive experience on social media. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, you find people with like interests. You know, I started literally just a couple years ago using my Twitter that I never really had. You know, and now I've been able to find my little niches, things that people like. You know, I have like my football niche, my Padres niche. Like I know things that people like enjoy, and the following just keeps building. And it's really cool. It's really cool to see the work you're doing, you know, that it's making a difference because you just like post stories and stuff. People are like, oh, this is really cool, or oh, you do a really great job. So I think social media has positive effects in that way too, where you can really like showcase what you can do and getting those positive reinforcements like outside of your circle. You know, like you get positive reinforcement. I get them from my parents and grandparents, but it's cool to get them from people like in Michigan, you know, that happen to like what I do, who are fellow sports journalists and are like, wow, like that was a really cool story. So I think in that sense, social media has become a really cool thing that like I have friends from all over the country right now, like on Twitter. So if I were ever to take like a big cross country road trip, I'm like, oh, I have a friend in Georgia. Like she messages me sometimes about sports stuff. And I think that part of it is really cool that you just kind of have like a whole network from all over the country that, you know, you can.
I can tell you, I think that wood paneling is going to get you a lot of fans in Michigan, too. You're going to get a lot of hits in Michigan and Ohio off that wood paneling.
I hope so.
So Bri, tell us about your, well, first of all, we have a cute picture that I took that I'm going to use for this segment of you two holding your gala planning meal. For those who don't know, you're looking at the co-chairs of the 2021 gala. Bri, tell us about what goes into, I know you guys are working together. Allison, I know you're the executive director and you're kind of the assistant, Bri, but being that you're up next in the rotation, tell us about the trials and tribulations of putting together a party for, I don't know, what do we think, 1,500?
Oh, yeah. Yes, big party indeed. I think me and Allison also were extremely like passionate and invested in everything, the experience. We're invested in all the athletes, the families. We want, you know, of course, our crew, all of San Diego community. We want it to be amazing. So that's first off kind of what's driving all our hard work. You know, there's a lot of planning, a lot of coordinating. We have an amazing venue at The Rock. We've been working with their amazing staff. We're in contact with them every single day. We're making sure all of our athletes have the best experience to top off all their hard work this season. They deserve an amazing, you know, night to commemorate all their hard work. We are working on invitations every day. We're working on presenters, you know, thousands of people, we're trying to get. So we're trying to make the best experience possible. And like I said, we're very emotionally invested. So we want it to be honestly the best night ever, because that's what everyone deserves, to be honest. So
I wish I'm going to do Allison's face for you when I told her that she was going to be in charge of the gala. She's like,
Well, I got a question for you guys. This is, I don't want to say my least favorite time of year, but there's so many incredible players, in San Diego now. It just seems more and more every year. And there's really only 5 or 6 spots on the podium. Do you guys get as much, because I don't even go to the meetings anymore because I just want to tell people I'm not part of it. Do you guys get the backlash that I get before I tell them I'm not on the committee and they don't tell me anything?
I don't know. I feel like I don't really. I always hear these stories about people like getting backlash like in the community, like when they go out to games and stuff. I've maybe only had like one issue where someone was like, why didn't he get on the podium? And like right now though, what I'm getting at games is like people like trying to get me to like spill who's on it. Like the last 2 weeks, people have been coming up to me and they're like, oh, so like, I know this is like going to start kind of happening. Like, is so-and-so on it? And I'm like, I can't tell you. They're like, yeah, you can. It's just like one person. I'm like, just wait. Like, just be patient. I hate it. It's like, for me, it's like gut wrenching, like the whole process, because honestly, like, I wish I could give everybody the silver pigskin. I just like, I get too emotionally invested. So I don't face as much backlash, but I'm waiting. I'm like waiting for it.
yeah,
like it might happen this year.
It's going to happen in the next 72 hours. And it's tough.
Like I said, I don't go to the meetings. I just say it's because of the backlash because I'm lazy, but I don't go to the meetings. I don't know. I don't ask. I don't do any of that. I'm just like, I'm not part of that process.
Yeah. Because I'm
a coward.
I'm a coward.
Yeah,
you are.
I understand.
You are, along with not applying yourself.
A lazy coward on top of it.
But I mean, it's just like you build relationships. You can't help but become attached to these kids. I don't have kids, so these kids become my kids. Mm-hmm. Except I don't have to pay for their college education.
Yeah, most of them are getting scholarships. Yeah, no, thank God.
But okay, their gas money. But so, Bri, you before we wrap this up, this has been one of the fastest podcasts we've ever done. Bri, tell us a little bit about your segment, because you also do the Squad Up segment, which is new to the show. Tell us, you're getting to meet the teams behind the teams. Tell us a little bit about it.
100%. Squad Up is honestly my baby. I go out there every week. I go with cheer squads or marching bands, and I kind of profile and feature the squads, that maybe don't get all the limelight. All the football players get all the attention. So it's really nice to, highlight all their hard work every day. They're out there putting hours of work, nailing the routines. Those cheerleaders, I go to their practices, they get thrown up in the air. They're so courageous and brave, so it's so nice getting to put a spotlight on them and all their hard work. So it's great getting to know them and show the whole other side, because honestly, they add so much to the Friday Night Lights experience and the atmosphere. And so it's a huge part, of people's memories. So I love getting to highlight that.
All right. I got to ask her on her student spotlight first, though.
Okay.
I got to ask Allison.
Okay.
Allison, how about you?
Well, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I love going out and doing it. It's so much fun. I love going to all the different schools, seeing all of what these kids can do and showcasing them on a different level, that they're a good athlete on the field. That's part of the reason why I picked them, but to see them, also excel in the classroom and show everyone like, look, they're more than just a football player. They're more than just that name you hear on Friday nights. They have so much. And these kids too, that have like the extra stories, like, oh, I play in bands. Oh, I'm a concert pianist. Like, not a lot of people do that. So to go a little bit deeper and find their story beyond just football and then beyond just school and really find out who these kids are, it's really cool to get out there and get to know them and see what their coaches think of them. And it's my highlight of the week. I love going out there. So
we usually have, ex-NFL players, and we always say, what are your advice to high school football players? What are your advice to young women that are watching this that actually want to get into the business and do what you're doing right now?
Go
ahead. Go for it.
We talked at the same time. I guess my piece of advice is just, don't quit. There will be there's still people to stay. As much as it's getting more females in this business, there's still people, who will talk around you, not think you know sports. So just keep pushing, keep believing in yourself. Like, know that it's going to pay off. The hard work will pay off. And always put yourself out there. Always say yes to opportunities, go out there and cover the extra thing, learn how to do everything. Because if you learn how to do everything, it will expand your horizons and you'll get more and more opportunities that way. And I think it's just really important to kind of put the blinders on, put the earmuffs on, and kind of just go and focus on what you really want to do and go after it. I think that's very important.
Bri?
I completely agree with Allison, but also I want to add, you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to apply to a lot of things. Just know that it won't be your first no, it won't be your last no, but it honestly just takes that one person like Paul to see something in you like he did in me and give me that one shot. That's all it takes. Just keep grinding. Don't give up. And it's super cliche. And I know it's easier said than done. But you're gonna have heartbreak. You're gonna get no's. But like I said, it just takes that one person. Keep showing out. Don't give up. And like Allison said, it'll all pay off in the end. And once you experience that kind of full circle moment, whatever career goal that is, it'll be the most satisfying, rewarding feeling in the world knowing you didn't give up. And yeah, you stayed the course. So it'll all be worth it.
These are just two character human beings. High character. I mean, obviously they're
Unlike
very
us, yeah.
Yeah. Unlike us, they're very attractive, but I'm telling you,
Well-spoken.
they shoot their own stuff. They write their own stuff. They edit their own stuff.
Like me.
They can do anything I can do and things I can't do. They are stars on the ascend. And just to give you an idea, when I have a Padre question, I don't go to Brandon. I go to Al. I go to Al. And I have no doubt you're going to work one day for the MLB Network or for the Padres, and I will be so proud. I'm so proud of you both. And
Thank you.
I have nothing but great pride in the fact that you're making our show better.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much.
So concludes episode 13 of the PPR podcast. Next week it's going to be?
Oh, you're going to Tyree Robinson and Kyrie Kimbrough.
All right, ladies, go about your business. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.